Welcome back, folks, to another Love Discussion. I, of course, am Jahawe Jarvis, here with Let Our Voices Echo, and we have the pleasure of having Mr. Jacob Ritz, the owner and founder of Iron Glass Productions, and I'll let him actually speak a little bit more about that one.
Well, first off, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy 2021.
2020 was kind of a disaster, but at the same time, a lot of good things came out of it.
Absolutely.
I was able to start a business, and amongst that, we were able to start this little love thing that we got going on.
Yeah, and we've made something out of it where we've, been able to talk and, hear the perspectives of a lot of different people, and I'm glad you were able to finally come on to set this new year off right. And the reason that we are actually doing this discussion is kind of to recap what we've already discussed, what we've kind of touched on as a community, because at the end of the day, love was created to form a community where we can all find resources to better ourselves, better the community, better human beings as a whole. Jake and I, we had a discussion about this long ago when things were kind of tumultuous in the world and in our social climate. And we just thought it was important to have discussions that not a lot of people tend to have in normal day-to-day lives, just because they might not know how to go about it. So we're here, and we're just gonna go kind of breeze through what we've already discussed, but also talk about what the plan is for love in the future. 2021, we have a reset of our clock, and with that, we plan to do big things with love. We plan to make it something that it's obviously more legitimate, but at the same time, we plan to grow with you guys as well as a community, and hopefully throughout the world. So,
Just to go off of that, we started this just to get a perspective and let people have an outlet, and do something a little fun. Just talk with our friends, which it was, for the most part, was most of our friends. And that's kind of something that we've been talking about lately, and ever since, that first month was, well, let's get some more higher profile people on here. Let's get some people that hold a little bit more weight in, right, I guess, the industry, or the career that they are pursuing or they're talking about.
Absolutely.
Everybody's got a different aspect on things, and from the person that's the janitor, from the person that's running the company, I think they're both very, very important.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, I think that's an important point to talk on, because at the end of the day, what it is, I think it was important to have our peers, because we've all kind of obviously grown up. A lot of the people we've reconnected with after years and years of not seeing or talking or whatever have you. So, we're all in different periods in our life where we're not the same old kids that we once knew. So to a point, peers were a good jump off, because it allowed us to see the perspective of the new person that we once knew, while also giving people an opportunity to speak on what they've seen, what they've experienced, and where they're at now. So now, with that being said, we've allowed, that line to be open.
Right.
Now we have the layman, we have your normal person, if you will, who has been on the love discussions, and now we can take it a step further, because now we've started the discussion. We've got it going, and now, like you said, higher profile, but not to get mixed up with, I'm not looking for the FBI or like the CIA.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, not the president, but what I'm saying is, we just want people who, might hold a position where in their day-to-day lives, it's about business. It's about getting stuff done. It's about things that keep a machine going, but you don't get the chance to step away and have these real conversations.
Right.
I want to have real conversations with your CEO. I want to have a real conversation with your museum curator, whatever have you, cultural centers, whatever have you. These are the things that need to be talked about with people who are in positions where it can matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We can all have these talks, and the internet is a very fast place. That's why we do these videos. Hopefully we're touching people in the right way.
But sorry to interrupt you, but that's literally all it takes, and I think that's one of the main reasons why I may have pushed you to do something like this. Yes, I had the tools, the studio, all the gear to kind of make this happen, and can put like that professional and an artsy twist on it.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you're the right person to be talking to people. It's not easy being in front of the camera. I'm not usually in front of the camera. I'm usually behind it. And it takes a couple times to get things out the right way you want.
Right.
You want them to be said.
Right.
But I think one of the best things about what we're doing, about the love discussions, is they're not edited. You know, they're maybe polished a little bit. I touch up a couple things, but you know, for the most part, and I'm inspired by, you know, Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan is as raw as it gets. You know, if you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, you know exactly what I'm saying. I don't even need to go into detail. You know, so part of what I love about the Rogan podcast, and what I think I'm trying to get us, and hopefully it comes across through the camera, is we're being authentic here, and we're trying to get people from all walks of life. Well, we only had 11 so far, but you know, we want
hey,
people.
Man, that's a good demographic in itself. You know what I mean? You've got a lot of different people who have shown up and talked about some things, you know, and offered a perspective. I remember early on we were having some talks. This was back in the summertime last year, and right after a discussion, you were just like, you took the headphones off and was like, wow, that was really cool, because I never would have thought that we could have had that discussion. And that's the point, you know what I mean? You obviously are right here behind the scenes doing what you do, but hopefully once we put these things out into the world, that is the feeling people are getting. Wow, you know, I never would have thought of it that way, or wow, I never would have thought they had that perspective.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We know a lot of people, we see them in passing. The internet, again, is a very good tool to know people, but you don't really know anybody.
Right.
So, you know, we go back to the beginning. Our first guest was Mahadi Walker, and, you know, that was the beginning of what we kind of created with this, and that was a great discussion. At the same time, we're learning. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I mean, that was the first time I met Mahadi.
Exactly,
you know, I knew nothing about him, and by the end of a 30-minute talk, I knew way more about him than, you know, what is today's way of learning about somebody: Facebook, Instagram, and then developing, you know, a character architecture, and then just going off with that. Like, I don't. That's not the right way to do things. That's the new way of judging a book by its cover.
And that's another thing that we touched on in the discussions last year, was that, you know, everything isn't what it seems on the internet. So that's a big thing of what we kind of have to recondition ourselves to believe, because we, you know, we're falling into I guess a culture where it's more acceptable to believe the thing that's out on the internet than the person that is right here face to face with you.
Quick and easy.
Quick and easy, you know, and it's so much so that I can sit here, and not necessarily you, but anybody in the world right now, we can sit and have a conversation, and we can be speaking facts to each other. But because of the internet now, we don't know what actually is fact. You don't know what's true and what's false, because it's all about what grasps people's attention the most. And hopefully something positive, something, you know, progressive, like the love discussions, will get that mystique, will gain that traction to where people want to listen to this. Because I'm not saying everything we say is the truth. I'm not saying everything is factual, but it is maybe opinion based, but for the most part, it's just perspective. It's offering you in a 30-minute span, or roughly a 30-minute span, it's offering you the perspective of somebody that you would never get otherwise. You know what I mean? Like you said, we've been talking to peers for the most part, but that's our peers. That's not everyone's peers. You know, fortunately enough, we've had a reach that's gone into other countries and stuff like that. So, okay, yeah, again, peers to us, but these people out in England and, you know, Nigeria and whatnot, that's not their peers. They're hearing not only the perspective of people who come from where we come from, but it's also the perspective of Americans going through whatever we were going through at the time, trying to live in a social climate that we currently have. So, you know, that...
I mean, that's the best part about social media. That's the best part about the internet in and of itself, is that you can find inspiration like that, and it can be from anywhere.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm sure we follow people from different countries. I'm sure people that are watching this not everybody that's on your feed is just your friends that are who you see in a 20-mile radius in your hometown. No, there's people that you're following from, you know, UK or from Australia, and they're rocking cool clothing brands, or they're doing something that's just different than what you're accustomed to, and that inspired you to, I don't know, do that here.
It just makes a connection.
Exactly. You know, and to bring it back to, you know, what is the point of why we're even doing this? You know, it's fun for me. It's fun for me to create and above all else, meet new people and learn about them. Like Mahadi, for example. And at the same time, some of our friends. You know, Eric and Omari and Lexi that were on here. Yeah, we went to high school with them. But at the same time, you know, we all went to college, or if you didn't go to college, we we split ways and you don't get to see each other.
Exactly.
And you grow in those years.
Yep.
And sometimes 1 year you can completely shift and be a completely different person. So to hear them and to hear
Where they're at right now.
where they're at and their perspective on the crazy world that we're living in and the crazy world that is changing on a day-to-day day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
It's refreshing.
Absolutely.
That's the best word
It's
to
refreshing
describe
for us because we're reconnecting with people that we know. Also refreshing because, again, we come from a very small town. To hear the perspectives of people who come from where we come from and to be broadened and open to something like this, to where we're creating an atmosphere of love, that's awesome. Because not for nothing, bro. At the end of the day, small towns are what they are. You're very enclosed, there's bubbles, you know what I mean? You can fall into a mindset which is not necessarily progressive. And that partly is why I like to tap into the people that we grew up with because, you grew up there, I grew up there, and fortunately we were friends growing up that you kind of saw the perspectives a little differently than your normal person growing up in the town you grew up. So it's like, now, let's bring people back who came from there, may have left, came back, and let's just see where you're at. You know what I mean? I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to chastise. What we're here to is listen and try our best to understand.
Right.
Whether I agree with it or not. Luckily, fortunately...
who am I to judge if that's correct or not?
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's not about correct. It's not about... my personal opinion of right and wrong. What it is about how can we take what you've said and what I've said, or what I think and what you think, and put it together and move forward collectively. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's all about collaboration at this point. And, we can kind of touch on to current social issues. And, with the beginning of this year, it's kind of...
Off to a great start,
Crazy
Off to a great start.
Exactly. And again, collaboration. We're in a climate right now that we would have hoped would have gotten a little better with the changing of the year. But at the end of the day, that's all a human construct. So in our minds, yes, new year, new me, we're changing. But at the end of the day, same issues from last year carries over into this year. And now we're dealing with those right now. They're all in the media. The news is, and what it's doing is it's creating this divide, which we, in what we're doing here, are trying our best to avoid. So you're battling the media, who, it's a huge machine.
Right.
You're battling what we live in a world where reality TV is more popular than news. So what's becoming of the news is reality TV. So now, again, we're trying to have authentic conversations. That might not be what hits everybody right now.
Right.
People are here for drama. People want to see people upset because that is more emotion invoking. That causes you to feel something a little more than, maybe I want to change. Maybe I want to make something better. But in order to make something better, it can't just be me. But if I see a little bit of drama, I can enjoy that by myself. You know
It's
what
easier.
I mean? It's easier. And at the end of the day, right now, human beings are looking for convenience. That's with everything. That's with our money. It's going from physical money to online money. It's with our jobs. I mean, at the end of the day, COVID, coronavirus, whatever you want to call it, the Rona, it's caused us to change our lives. So schooling's remote, working is remote, banking is remote. All of these different things have changed from, your face-to-face interaction, which is what we are lacking as a being already.
Well, I mean, people are afraid of face-to-face interaction, especially right now.
Right.
But at the same time, this is the best way for people to get to a common ground.
Exactly.
To talk,
exactly.
to get to know each other.
There's no
to find out.
miscommunication. There's no lost in translation.
No.
We come from an era where we kind of got to see the beginnings of text messaging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we were figuring that stuff out. The way we text now is completely different than what we used to text. But the point is,
I gotta hit the number 3.
Yeah, 3 times to get a number, and in order to do, I'm just like, you know what? I don't even want to write words. I'm just gonna do lols, TTYL, BRB, whatever, right? So, but the point is, there's a lot of things that can get lost in translation when you're talking like that.
Right.
You know, your conversation that we're having right now is getting sent in individual text messages. Or maybe you're trying to have this conversation with me, but I didn't answer my phone just now, and, you know, or we were having a phone call and I had to hang up. All of these things, it's convenient because we don't have to be face to face, but what you lose is the authenticity of face-to-face interaction.
Right.
I get to experience your emotions right here while you do the same for me.
Right.
And, you know, I think that's why the world is so confused right now.
Plus, you can look when you're face-to-face with somebody. I can see through the BS. You know, you can get that read.
Exactly.
You know, we're not BSing. This is genuinely, this is the honest person.
Exactly.
Or, all right, well, this is a line of crap. You know. You can't get that through a text.
No.
You can just facilitate that in your mind. And then that's dangerous because then when you do see them in person,
you've already created this thing in your head that might not be true.
Right.
And the problem is that idea behind the keyboard warriors and whatnot, because now, exactly what you said. Yeah, I can say what I want to say behind the words, and it could be BS because how do you know? You know what I mean? I'm hiding behind this person that I've created, this persona, and in turn, now it's creating emotions, it's invoking emotions, it's creating drama, and that's what human beings live off of. At the end of the day, we like drama. It goes all the way back to, you know, I guess you could go ancient Roman times where the Colosseum was an exciting thing to be at, and you want to watch men fight and wrestle because why else? Because it's drama. You know what I mean? But these are
attention. It's grabbed your attention.
It's entertainment. Yeah, we watch people Sunday nights hit each other for a piece of leather. Like, we played the sport. But you know, this is drama. But at the same time, what it does for us is really nothing but something in our mind gets a little excited for that time, so we're always looking for that. It's kind of like a drug. You're always trying to find that next fix of drama. So people get really caught up in Facebook feeds. People get really caught up on Twitter.
I mean,
because those people, not only are you allowed to see what's going on at the moment you open your phone, you're also allowed to tap into the lives of people you might not have been able to do previous to this.
Right.
We grew up as children thinking that celebrities are unreachable. And now we're in a place where you could tweet somebody and they might tweet you back. You know what I mean? And
I mean, they might have 30,
they might have people working for them, being realistic. But, you know, you might feel good. I remember when I was in college and I tweeted this actress, Megan Good. If you know, you know. And she wrote me back. I was really excited. I bragged about it for like 3 months. But why, though? Nothing was done. It could have been some dude that works
Probably
for
wasn't her.
Yeah, exactly. And I was so excited. But like, these are the things. We get so caught up in the internet. And like I was talking to you earlier about the movie Ready Player One. And I think that's such an important movie for where we're at as a society right now, because of the message that I mean, it's very, I mean, if you've seen it, you probably understand what I'm talking about. But, you know, to run it down very quickly, it's a movie pretty much in a world where everything's on the internet. The entire social structure of life is contained within this virtual world,
which we're not too far away from.
We're getting there.
Right now.
We're getting there.
So.
And the idea is that, you know, people are so invested in that they lose sight of what's going on in the real world, and they become what they are in that virtual reality. So at the end of the movie, I don't mean to spoiler alert, you know, the quote is, you know, reality is the only thing that's real. And it's so simple, it's so basic, but it's the truth, you know?
Well, that's the thing, though, man. Like, it just feels like common sense has been thrown out the window today. We just saw the Capitol be stormed.
Which apparently hasn't happened since the 1800s.
Well, apparently there's a revolution.
Yes. Apparently there's a revolution.
Look, and I don't want to, and I really don't want to get into politics because I'm not a really.
I don't like talking politics too much either, but we know what's going on.
I'm not a big political person, and I don't think we want the love discussion and the love community.
We don't spread hate here.
We're not trying to spread hate, but at the same time, there needs to be holding people accountable of their actions in a way. You know, you can't just turn your cheek at those sort of things. Like, what is going on?
Right. What is going on?
How do we get people to realize that that's really not okay? And this might be a stretch, but I mean, I, for one, have been inspired by listening to Joe Rogan's podcast.
Okay.
Do I think the love discussion is anywhere out there reaching millions of people? No. Could it be? Who knows?
That's the idea.
And the thought of someone listening to this while they're driving or watching this while they're, I don't know, drawing in the living room and they just have this on their TV, if that just inspires them and that just kind of flicks a switch in their brain and goes, yeah, maybe I don't go storm the Capitol today, or whatever situation might arise at that point in their life. If there are more things like this and there are more people that do discussions,
Right.
there could be another
We
love
need it.
podcast
Right.
or love discussion or whatever discussion,
Right.
just for people to sit down and instead of when they would really talk behind the phone or call or Zoom
Type
call
or whatever, yeah.
sit down, talk,
Yep.
look each other eye to eye, and actually get to know each other and just talk about what's going on. You might spark something for somebody in Zimbabwe
Right.
who
It
might
doesn't
change
matter.
something.
Right.
That's a
You
stretch,
don't
like
know.
I said. But we don't know. But we're not hurting anything.
It doesn't
doing
hurt
it right
you
now.
to try. That's the idea. You miss the opportunities you don't take. So this is an opportunity that, yeah, it might not reach the millions of people that Joe Rogan reaches, but at the end of the day, why not try?
But he also wasn't Joe Rogan when he started his podcast. I was just listening to an episode the other day. And he started up and he was just joking around with his friends. He didn't know he was going to, be sponsored by Spotify or, be this huge platform.
But he tried.
Yeah, he was just, consistency, that's another thing that I think people should think about, us too, as we go into the new year. People get on this high for about a month and a half, every new year. And then in the middle of February, all your goals and
That
your
was good
ambitions,
enough. You get content.
yeah, you get content. Like what has stopped? And I have been culprit of this in the past. I'm not a perfect person.
We all have.
But I'm just saying, like, what is that? Why is that a fabric in our mindset to just, all right, it's been a month and a half, did pretty damn good. I don't got to worry about the rest of the year. No, you're just getting started.
I think
you're
that's
not even
a
done
good
with the
point,
first
though.
quarter.
I think that's a good point because I think that's the problem that we face as human beings is it just as a whole. Like we get content with doing just enough. I specifically was a culprit of that for a large part of my life because things came easily to me. You know what I mean? So I kind of knew what I could do to get ahead, but not do too much. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I would do just enough to get by, and that was okay because it was still better than the next, or whatever, however you want to look at it. So, I found in recent years that doesn't work in the real world. You know what I mean? To try just enough. And, I found it in my fitness. I found it in my, relationships. I found it in my friendships. All of those things, you have to, if you want it, you have to put forth the effort to make it so. Okay, so we have exactly what you said, new year, new me, people are in the gym doing these things, but about February, March, you're not going to see a lot of those people. Why? Because human beings will do just enough to create this sense of contentment, which doesn't last, but you'll convince yourself that it's still there because, okay, yeah, I worked out for a month and now I'm going to tell myself for the next 2 months, oh, I was good. I did that. So now you're 3 months in and you really didn't do anything. That's the idea behind the human psyche.
You're actually a month behind.
Yeah, you're a month behind. And in your human psyche, you've created this construct where you think you're better off than you are, but you really aren't. You're sitting here convinced in your head that in your reality, you're in a different place. That's the problem. And I think that comes with the social media because we can create whoever we want to.
Sure.
We literally can be, I was talking to you earlier about filters and whatnot, and filter that made my lips look like I had lipstick on them and whatever, even though I thought it was I thought it was like a Botox thing, and I just wanted to see what it was, and it made me look like I had eyeliner and lipstick. But all of the point to make, you can literally alter your entire being.
Oh, yeah.
Your entire being for the internet. Put out just enough for people to be like, whoa, that person is doing something, or that person looks great. And that's enough. You'll get the recognition. You'll wake up with a couple likes on your phone, and that makes you feel good.
Right.
That's that contentment, because now it's not that you have to create the contentment for yourself. All you have to do anytime that you need that fix is post something, and you'll get some feedback. That's the instant gratification that I think is a detriment to us, but it's like the only way we're going, because as human beings, I think we've only been working towards making things easy for ourselves, and we're going to continue to do that. No matter what we're saying here, no matter what we do, it's always going to be progressively getting easier for us. And at the point we're at now, it's exponentially. You know, we've gone from flip phones to big old smartphones and computers in your pockets. We've gone from
to maybe a chip in our head.
Maybe if you don't already have one, you better get one. You know, I know, man. But anyway,
I'm out. Count me out.
But there's again, going back to Ready Player One, everything happened on these goggles and it's virtual reality. We have that already. We already have the little thingies where you're chopping stuff up in your made up world. But like, only to say we're heading towards that world where we don't know what reality is. We don't have, we're not in touch with what's real and what's not, because at the end of the day, you don't have to see people. I literally could sit in my house all day, every day, and not physically see anybody, but people will know who I am. People will know what I want to be about because I can create it. You know what I mean? My name doesn't have to be Jahaf. I don't want it to be. You know what I mean? Like, you can acknowledge me as Big Daddy OG.
That's your avatar.
Yeah, that's my avatar, Big Daddy OG. Find me on the internet. But you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want here. And I think that's a responsibility that now we have that we've never had before. It's a responsibility individually that you don't have to do what's right on the internet, but again, it's just
because there really aren't no laws on the
there's
internet.
no rules
right now.
But at the same time, we have laws for things that are in place right. I mean, let's talk about it. Let's not get too deep, but guns. You have a gun. It's a tool. It's an item. You have it. Who's to say you can't just shoot it? You can do that if you want to, but there is a responsibility there to not do that. Once you have that tool, you have a responsibility to use it well. Same thing with the internet. The internet's a tool. You have now a responsibility to use it well. A lot of people are using it in the wrong way. A lot of people are using it to spread fake news, which is my biggest thing because I see it all the time. I see people posting this and this, and I'm like, yeah, but where did you get that from? Did you check the source?
Well, no, it's headline.
Yeah, it's pbs.net.com.rr. You know what I mean? What is that? You know what I mean? But people don't take this time to go that step further because it's not easy. It's not easy to do your own research. It's not easy to create your own perspective and broaden your worldview on your own. Because it's so simple as, okay, I want to follow ABC. I want to follow CNN. CNN will literally give me an entire perspective that I don't have to create my own. They'll give me the entire narrative. This is happening here. This is happening here. This is how you should feel about this. And that's that. Okay, they did it for me. I just got to wake up and watch CNN. You know what I'm saying? Not to say it's just, I'm not talking specifically, let's not do that. Any news entity can create a narrative that people will listen to. And
there's news entities out there that are not considered your CNN or your NBC.
That are not legitimate,
like
or whatever.
Barstool and companies that we probably don't even know about right now are probably in the works to come up, and because it's a free for all. It's a free for all.
And then I'm glad you just said that, because that brings another point where, okay, we trust these big companies that we've heard of our entire lives, the NBC, the CNNs, the ABC, all those, we've heard those. So we trust them. But now these little mom and pop, whatever internet sources that we have, we're not.
But why do we trust them? Is it because
it's because they're big and because they're in our face all the time, and that's the problem.
But now that the light has been shed on these, now, I mean,
the
it's
agenda,
just everything's up in the air.
Right, exactly. So there's agendas behind these big companies, but people still trust them because they trust them their whole lives. It's kind of the idea with me and like Nike. I have brand loyalty. I'm not going to wear Adidas, I'm sorry. But like, that's my brand loyalty, you know what I mean? So it is what it is, but that's just where I stand with that. Now people have that same thing with their news stations or whatever, but now you have those bar stools and stuff that are coming up that might have good journalism that aren't being trusted the same way as those big companies because they haven't been out for as long, or they were founded on the internet, so they're not necessarily going to get the credibility because they didn't start off as a newspaper. So it's like all these little things that humans do themselves to discredit things that we are in perpetual motion where we're not going to really get anywhere. We have to open our eyes and say, okay, it doesn't have to be the old way. I'm saying this right now and it hurts my heart because like my biggest thing is music. you know, I'm very into music, and it's hard for me to accept what's being made fully right now as music, but who am I? You know what I mean? Who am I? Maybe I'm having the wrong perspective, and I need to open my eyes and say, well, you know, this is the new way. This is not my music, not my cup of tea.
You can't be married to your
I can't
ideas.
be stuck in the past. You can't, because if I'm stuck in the past, I mean, you know what I mean? There's no room for progression if I'm stuck somewhere else. So yeah, okay, I can enjoy what I enjoy and leave it at that, but I can't discredit what's happening now because it's happening. It's here, it's right now. So instead of being upset and trying to stop it, okay, let's see how we can flip this and make it work for all of us. You know what I'm saying? That's speaking on music specifically, but again,
I think that applies to everything.
everything, exactly.
I really do.
We want to get to the news. This is not a news entity. We're not even talking about anything specific, because I would rather not talk about the stuff we already know about. You know what I mean? But at the same time,
well, let's bring it back to love. I mean, who, like we said, we don't know what love could be. Who knows? Love could be the next news. Could be the next news platform.
that is an idea, but that's the thing. We don't know what it can become. And with 2021, hopefully that vision, that idea, that nest egg will present itself fully. But you know, there's steps that need to be taken, and we need to solidify the LLCs and whatnot just to legitimize love as an entity. But at the end of the day, we would hope to not necessarily become a news station.
I was kidding, but I mean,
but we want
the possibility is out there for anybody, probably.
We want the reach of a news company where we can touch a lot of people and influence people. Because at the end of the day, I don't think what we're doing here is going to create a side. What it does is it allows people to hear all the sides and now create the side or create the perspective on their own.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of what has become of where we get our information is that things have already been decided for us. Things have already been kind of understood and now put out to you so that you didn't really have to do much thinking. It's as simple as
it's a layup
title.
as far as the perspective goes.
Absolutely.
Why should I even develop my own?
I don't have
right
to. And it goes as deep as, okay, so people are, I see it all the time on the internet, people are like, oh, why does this title say what it says? Why is this headline saying what it says? We know why it says what it says, because it draws your attention.
Sure.
Yeah, it didn't have to be worded that way, but that's not the point. It is worded that way because it's going to pull in people who have that perspective.
I mean, think about the actual people that are involved in that article that you are probably sharing or looking at. I mean, how do you think they feel?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because
they're probably saying more than they could have changed the title.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't even want to write this, you know what I mean? But that goes very deep, and at the end of the day, it's a machine. Like, it's so crazy to say that because, like, we grew up, and it's like, our generation grew up during a time where, like, you had this weird stereotype of, like, hippies. You had this weird stereotype of, like people who were, like, anti-government and stuff like that. And it was always like, yeah, man, let's go against the man. Let's go against the machine, man. Like, stuff like that. But, like, I never understood it as a kid because I don't know what the machine is. Like,
right.
The police is the police. The government's the government. The lawmakers are the lawmakers. But, like, when you really take a step back, it's not just the government that's the machine. It's everything that's working together to continue. You know what I mean? At the end, I think it's money. Money is the reason the machine is whatever it is and whatever it's become. But that's why it's so hard to break these constructs and these conditioning tools that we already have in place. The news, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Whether we like it or not, it's really hard to...
It's going to continue changing.
It's going to continue changing. And they hear what we're saying. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the people up in the news doesn't hear the fact that people are starting to realize, oh, well, this is not all the way true. Right. This is not what we need to be hearing. But at the same time, it doesn't matter what is being said on the ground, because as long as the machine's still working, it really doesn't matter what your opinion is, because they need to make money for the people that are benefiting from whatever it is. Right. So now, with what we do, let's not talk about what the news is doing. Let's not give a biased side. Let's just talk.
Yeah.
I'm not offering.
How do you feel about that?
Exactly. I'm not offering
do
you
I
a
feel
political
about
stance. I'm not offering you a social stance. All I'm saying is
I'm not telling you you're wrong.
No, not at all.
Oh, I see how you might think about that.
Exactly.
Let me tell you why I disagree. You know,
Let me tell you why I understand. Let me tell you why I don't understand. And let's see if we can come out to a resolution. If we can't, that's okay.
the tension is so tight. For some reason, I say for some reason. We all
But
know
we
the
know,
reason.
yeah.
You know, I mean, after watching that movie, The Social Dilemma, I'm pretty sure everybody feels like I feel. Wow, I already knew that,
But now it's literally
confirmed. And, like, it's terrifying to realize when you have the people that made those machines telling you to stop using the machine.
Absolutely.
But the machine is so in motion now
It's so far beyond our realm of.
that the only way to stop it is to flood these feeds with things that are better.
Exactly.
That are better and more
Exactly.
honest. And
Let's take away from the stuff that's already out there, and that's flooding everything. That's saturating the market right now.
I mean, look, I don't even know how long we've been talking for, but if someone is listening to us for this long, that means that they haven't been looking at that garbage.
We got your attention.
Yeah, but they're not looking at other garbage.
Right.
I'm not trying to make money off of you watching us.
Right.
Trying to take you away from being brainwashed.
No, because the value's not in the money for us in something like this. The value's in opening your mind. It's broadening your horizon. It's giving you the voice of reason. It's allowing you to hear something that, like you said, might change your perspective just in that moment. You don't have to listen to the whole discussion that we're doing. That's not our point here. Our point is so that, if you just could get like maybe a piece out of what we're saying that can change your perspective, that's good enough for us, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. It's about growing and becoming better and becoming more open to what's out in the world. I think that the inclusive idea is what really is going to change how our social climate is, because we are so easy to exclude people. That's why we have the problems that we have right now. That's why our politics look the way they do, because we are so quick to exclude, and it becomes easier to pick a side rather than to be like, you know what? Yeah, you might feel that way, but I'm not gonna be mad at you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that I'm not gonna agree with, ever. But there's certain things that might make sense. There's certain things that might not make sense. But let's talk about it. Let's not create this battle line where we are like, oh, you don't agree with me? Well, nah, I'm not messing with you. I'm gonna stick with the other people that agree with me. Even though we might not be right, I'm just gonna stick with these guys because they seem to think that I'm right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you're gonna stick with people who enforce your own thoughts.
Sure.
And that's the problem. People have to be more comfortable with going out of their comfort zone and listening to stuff that don't enforce what they already think.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's really, really good to step outside of your comfort zone. I mean, like, this is not comfortable for me to be in front of the camera. You know, we didn't invite 11 people to do this. That wasn't comfortable to start off. But the more times you do that, the more times, often than not, when you step outside your comfort zone, it's for a very, very good thing.
They say
good things happen.
They say, things that are worth doing or worth having require risk. You know what I mean? So, something like this, we took a little risk. It wasn't the most vast risk, but we did take a risk because at the end of the day, we're talking about stuff that could fire people up.
Sure.
It could get people to think negative. We're not trying to do that, but the internet is so open for interpretation that it can be taken anyway. Now, all we can personally do, all that love can do, all that us as individuals can do is stand fast in our own convictions and know what we're trying to do and continue to try and do that and listen. Listen to people saying, hey, you know what? That might not have been the way to go about that. Maybe let's tweak this, and just listen and say, okay, you know what? I understand what you're saying. I get your perspective. Thank you. And move forward. Let's progress. We're not all right. None of us really are. We don't know how to do this. Life is weird. You know what I'm saying? So the best thing that we can do is help each other figure it out rather than saying, I'm better at figuring out life than you because I'm here and you're there.
Right.
You know?
I think it clicked to me as you were talking about everything that, we are as a society now. We really are just these tech monkeys that love the next piece of thing that is quicker, faster, stronger, smarter, and we're moving into this robotic way of life.
Right.
Robots don't have feelings.
No.
And that's great for like a work line, you know, they don't
Right.
get tired, they don't get sick.
No emotions.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, that's not good for a community. It's not good for us. This would not be a very engaging conversation if there was no emotion behind
Exactly.
it. If I wasn't happy about, if I didn't laugh at things, you know, if I didn't get mad when something got me upset, but you know, compassion for me making you,
Yeah,
you
it could
upset.
sound like a fireside chat.
But you know what I mean? I think it's important, and this is what clicked for me, is maybe the biggest thing that we do with these talks, and every person that comes in and sits here, or wherever we are, wherever these discussions go, maybe this just bridges a little bit more humanity to that person that's watching. You know, maybe they relate, if it's you're looking at a meter and you're a peg, you know, some days you're robot. You're leaning more robot. I've fallen into it.
Yep.
What is
and
going
you don't
on?
know what you just did with
What
the
is going on?
past hour.
My robotic peg is
Right.
pretty tucked away. But like, you're not on your phone,
Right.
and you're outside, and you're taking walks, and you're talking to, you're holding the door open for this person, you're engaging with, you know, maybe your humanity peg is ticking. It's really
It's
kicking to
actually
the side.
funny that you say that because, you know, I always go back to this idea of like human beings have a battery, and like I usually use it as like an emotional battery or like a battery.
Yeah, you
as
brought this up in one of the other talks.
Right. So it's like something where like you have but so much energy to put out, but at the same time, I'd say you have maybe even another battery that is robotic and humanity. You know what I'm saying? So like it's funny though because like in order to recharge that battery, you have to take your stuff away from the technology. You know what I'm saying? In order to recharge the battery of humanity, you have to take yourself away from the technology because that's in turn draining you, which in turn almost makes sense because the moment, you know, you pull out the phone and you're holding it, everything that you're doing, it's draining something from you and it's pulling, you know what I'm saying? And in turn, the battery life is draining as well. So like, this is kind of showing you your own humanity in that like, we are draining ourselves by putting so much into these screens.
Right.
We need to take a step back, spend more time. I mean, everyone says it, spend more time with your family, but it's not even just that. Spend more time with people. It doesn't have to be people you know, it could just be around people. It's so much easier to create connections when you put yourself in that realm. You know, I think the idea with the internet began as a place to connect everyone easier, but again, the responsibility of it kind of got lost.
Right.
And it became a money machine. It became something where it was more benefit to it to create addictions, you know, but
And they admitted that they didn't recognize the other side of the coin until it was too late.
exactly. So like in the past, I remember chat rooms were awesome. You had friends. You could create little avatars and personas, but it was never nearly as involved because all you were doing was chatting and getting off. That was it. You're
Right.
done. Yeah, I don't even know that
Put
person.
my AIM
Yeah.
away message
Yeah.
up
Yeah, talk to you tomorrow at
because
school.
I'm outside with my friends.
Exactly, riding
bikes.
Exactly. But that's what we lived. Fortunate enough that we had that childhood.
Right.
But you know, there's children now, and I guess this goes back to another discussion where we have children now growing up in a society where they don't have that. They're literally growing up the moment they come out, popped out, screen in front of their face, tablet. Boom. That's a choice on the parent, but what
Right,
does
I was
the
about to
parent
say
do?
that's kind of shame on parents.
Absolutely, but at the same
because
time,
that's easier for them.
we
you know?
think about it this way though. So as kids, what do we have that everybody, what was it? Yu-Gi-Oh card, something like that. You know, something like that could be the influence that kids have now with the iPad. The difference is that we didn't have the accessibility. We didn't even have the technology to do something like that.
Right.
So the pressure was there. Our parents felt the pressure. Oh, well, our kid wants this. We have to do it because everybody else has it. The parents feel that pressure. I think now it's the same thing. Parents feel that pressure. Oh, how do I appease my kid? Every other kid has the iPad. They're going to come back home and say, well, mom, so-and-so has this. How come I can't use this? How do I, you know what I'm saying? So now it's like parents are tossing up their own morality and saying, I can't, you know, have my kid not be like the next. And at the same time, it's making it easier for parents to deal with their children because it's taking attention away.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at the same time, it's like, but what are you doing? You're creating that robot that you were saying. You're literally creating and filling fully that battery and creating that. I don't want to say robot. I want to say android because, yes, we're a shell. We're becoming a shell of ourselves. We're human beings. We have the capabilities of feeling emotion. But what people are doing now is they're losing that. They're losing all sense of actual human feeling because that's not what's important. You look at people who are important on the internet. You know, I talk about Cardi B. Now, if you know me, I have my sentiments about her, but whatever. At the end of the day, businesswoman, she's kind of figured it out, especially in today's world because, you know, she's a persona. She has a whole person that she puts on the internet. She says crazy things. She does crazy things. That's not Cardi B, though. That's not who she actually is. That's just the money maker. So people are losing sight of what's real and what's not because to us, to the women of the world, to the men of it doesn't matter. To the people of the world, Cardi B, one of the most influential people, is showing us that this is successful.
Yeah.
So how do I act? I act like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But in turn, behind closed doors, she's not acting like that. That's just the person she puts out. So now we don't know how to actually be.
Right. It's super confusing.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I should be acting like that. Kids are growing up and saying, no. Mom, dad, this is how you become successful. It's about flexing, flaunting, talking crazy, doing stupid stuff, punch people in the street. That's how you get successful because that's what they're doing on the internet, but that's not it. So I think we're in a weird place where Joe
Rogan said it best. We are in strange times.
We're in strange times.
Strange
and it's like
times.
with someone like Joe Rogan, he has such a vast reach that even then, it's still so much that needs to be done. You know what I mean? He's reaching millions, and it's like there's people listening and still not being the point's not being put across the right way because it's like there's so much more that needs to be.
There's too many points to. There's just too many things to try and equal out to make sure or to justify it.
So what we do instead is we just keep spreading love, bro.
Exactly.
We keep doing this. We create the community, and 2021 is the way we do that.
Just be positive and move through your life just being a good person.
Be your own.
I don't really think that's a hard thing to do.
Imagine your life.
Is that a hard thing to do?
No, absolutely not. Especially if you look at it this way. You walk through life as a person with kind of like a force field around you. That's your energy bubble, you know? If you want to walk around with a dark cloud of energy that you're spreading and rubbing shoulders with, you can do that. But what's the point? All you're doing is perpetuating the problem that we already have. It's as simple as doing the opposite and spreading that energy and being positive and being loving and spreading that. It's as simple as smiling at somebody. People don't realize the power of a smile, the power of, you know, just being positive. You know, like I experience it sometimes like just in the workplace. Me personally, you know me better than a lot of people, and it's like, I don't do it on purpose, but I'll go out of my way to be like, hey, what's up? And that'll just make you smile, you know what I mean? Exactly. But like, it's nothing that took nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in turn, I know you're smiling. I know you feel a little better about yourself.
Right.
And that's enough for me. I'll do that because that costs nothing. You know what I'm saying?
And that makes your humanity bar just
I need my humanity bar all the way, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be no robot out
No
here.
way, man.
I watched iRobot. I watched iRobot.
Trying to be sunny. Break away.
Exactly.
Break away from the mold. Trying to draw a nice bridge. I don't know. Trying to find my bridge.
Hopefully you guys have seen that movie because we're dating ourselves. We don't realize, but you know. Anyway, I appreciate you coming on, Jake. Always a pleasure. We're going to continue this 2021. Be on the lookout for more love discussions, better quality. You know, we're trying to make something of this. And if you feel the need, please reach out. Please feel free. You can either reach out to myself. Please feel free to reach out to Iron Glass Productions as well. And we want to see you. We want to have these discussions.
Yeah, come on in. Come on, talk with us.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. That's a wrap. Cool.
Awesome.